For darn near 10 years, this cold frame has been pretty useful. But I'm realizing the bricks are starting to crack. The slugs in there have taken over. And I have a water problem, which is becoming, I'm going to put this around my wrist, becoming extra evident with these flood level. There's my footprints going up to my shed there, see? It's becoming extra evident with all of this flood level rains that we've been having here in February in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so it's kind of bad. I'm thinking, here's some of the reasons it's bad. This is starting to heave. My patio cracked a while ago while the basement was cracking. So this split and divide has been going, but the heave is new this winter. The freeze-thaw cycles have been really bad. So I've started taking apart, especially right where it was, oh, what are you? I think that's a violet here. Look at that. I've started taking this apart just a little bit, and I have no idea what to do with all the bricks. I need to put them to use, obviously. They're these hollow core type for the most part. I have maybe a dozen solid core bricks, maybe a dozen, but I have this many hollow core bricks. And these are all double thickness. This one cracked in half because I guess it started sliding this way, and I do also think that, 10 years with no foundation, this puppy did really well. But there was this spot where it was starting to just look like it was all just gonna tumble. So I think it's time. I think it's time to figure something else out with all of this. I love all of the lichen here. That's awesome. Oh. More violets. Violets are weird looking when they're starting to come back to life. Huh. So, yeah. What I'm kind of thinking is to dig a, excuse me, to dig like a small pond kind of thing here. Maybe just here? And possibly have an overflow that goes like a dip in the walkway, so that when it overflows it can water things other than the foundation of my house. That'd be really good. So you can still see my porch is a wreck, but it's still way better than it was. Working on it. So other things, the mosses all did just fine. I love how green they are this early in the spring, and I seem to have two different species. This leggy one, looks like you can, they are so soft. They are so soft, but that's neat. Waterlogged soils apparently are the reason for these puppies. I don't know. I like them, so I don't mind. They're great for in between paver stones on walkways, and they grew themselves, so we're doing well. You can just kind of pick them up and stick them places. I had always thought I'd have to buy moss, but nope, we're good. Probably gonna end up using moss as a solution back here as well, but I'll have to do so slowly because I don't really want to have to buy in moss. I'd rather use what is naturally occurring here, which means I'll have to let it overgrow. And then of course this moss lichen combination over here with a little bit of sedum sticking out for good measure. Got lichen, we've got the fuzzy kind on top. Look at how leggy it is. And then down here more lichen. In a little bit of time, you're hardly going to be able to tell that these are just cement latch type retainer wall. 'Cause, like, it's just so covered in life that its cement nature is pretty well masked. Now, of course, I've got tarping going, which is to help me with getting the weeds under control up here. I don't have this space covered yet. And then up here, I just talked to my neighbor, and he didn't intend to have ivy either. So, if at all possible, I'm going to get up in here and just pull a lot of that out. And in this back corner, I'm sure he doesn't want to mow, but he really doesn't want ivy. It's worse than mowing, because it kills everything. So in this back corner here, I'm just going to give him a bunch of my chives that I don't need, so that he still doesn't have to mow, at least. Yeah, if I ever swap out some of these paths too, like, these grow moss also. It's awesome. Here's a Chinese privet seedling. Oh, let's see if we can get that to focus. They're invasives. I kind of didn't know that until after I decided to plant some of them here. I do want privacy in my yard, so there's that. But at the same time, they are invasive. So I've got several. I feel like they're not as invasive though as these Rosa Sharons are, and that's this part of the hedge. So in this section, I'm going to tuck a bunch of different, I got a whole bunch of hazelnuts coming, and if they get big enough, I could start removing these Rosa Sharon, because the main reason I had to tarp this whole section is because of the Rosa Sharon coming up everywhere. It's uncontrollable. So, yep. Uncontrollable. You know. So, we'll see how that goes. If it can end up just taking over, that's great. Wow, they missed their compost. There's a pineapple top in the hedge. Whatever. So yeah, all of that ivy that's all up in there, I have permission to go pull out, and I have to figure out, like, what the status is with ivy on the tree. I pulled this out of mine. I'm not sure where the ivy got itself in. But, yeah, there's a lot needing done back in here. This section, ooh, exciting thing! It's my very first of the early spring irises that I intended to move. There's a little bit of purple right there. I had intended to move it, and I just feel really lucky that because there's a it's here, the groundhog hole is right there this year. It wasn't there last year. So I am going to use that to gas pump the groundhog. Not bad, kind of important. So yeah, and then this is also very exciting here. This has been overtaken by Asian bittersweet for years. Now the Asian bittersweet is still an established jerk along the fence, but I have it at least tarped out so that new branches won't be coming out of here. And then if I can take care of the groundhog, we'll see. Yeah, so that's the status of a lot of things back here. My collapsed old cat shed. Sad. Boy. And then I use the half tires as weights for all my tarps. So, and that's going really well. I recommend it. If you're going to use them for raised garden beds, like when I cut these off, because I think I need to. They're great to sit on if you don't cut them off. So that's kind of nice. But these plants aren't thriving like the other ones. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to leave those sidewalls all on for sitting. We'll see. Plants do really like growing in raised bed tires. These are my strawberries, if you can't tell. And we're back where we started. I'll go look at the one other waterwork and how it's going. I've been just absolutely loving watching the birds play. Oh look, yeah, we do have crocuses everywhere. Oh, can you see it? Yeah, right there. Crocuses and the snowdrops are fully open. I'm kind of relieved to see the snowdrops open because the bees keep waking up and they have nothing to eat. Like, there's a neighbor who keeps bees and they come through hungry. That's no good. So now there's flowers everywhere. It's the end of February. We're not that early on those. And then here's the waterworks recently. Still trying to decide quite precisely what I'm going to do with these. Like, oh yeah, that's the neighbor's, like, their shutters are having issues. That noise. So I'm still trying to figure out, like, what shape or direction I'm gonna take from there. Because I could bring it the whole way into the garden. A lot of work, but maybe worth it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's pretty easy to tell where the daffodils are all coming up. There's these little guys. Look how cute they are. Let's see. I better focus on them. That's better anyway. And then these have, their buds are getting ready. I'm gonna have daffodils really soon too. Kind of exciting. And then I started taking apart this because it's not really giving me a whole lot of help. This is still doing great. A lot of my other rhubarb is still just barely out of the ground, and it's a really vigorous strain of rhubarb. And then I'm strongly considering taking, because that's a hardy Acai kiwi, which is the one that doesn't need a pollinator, but it's also the one that kept dropping its fruit way before it was ripe, and they won't shelf ripen, so I kind of gave up on it. But I read that you can train them along a fence, but my fence is really short, so I don't know. We'll see. And then the two screens are for my first trial with rutabaga. I hear they get a little bit invasive, but I had my first rutabaga like this year, and I don't care how many of them I get. They're really good. So that's fine. Yeah. So, and I want to talk to my brother a little bit about Seeing if he can get me some more barrels for rain. If I can get one of those rain spout diverters that knows when the tank's full, and a couple of overflow spouts so that it at least gets to the other side of the BOCO so it won't flood the basement if it overflows. That is a goal. Oh, hey! Here's a perpetual rhubarb coming up. Looky there. That's a happy little rhubarb. So, yeah. Kind of liking the idea of having a place to put chives, too. It's just kind of like dig them out, you know. He's really sensitive to, I think it's strange because he orders in new dirt every year. He just replaces dirt, so he's into organic. But he's really apparently not that, like, sustainability clued. He has no clues about sustainability, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. I mean, this is an area I could possibly use bricks to, like, create additional raised bed structures. That, as the, because I hear some of the bricks that are, solid, as our climate gets soggier and soggier, it's kind of, becoming more pertinent to have the raised beds, because before they just dried out too soon and weren't that useful. But now, yeah, I mean, these little raised beds might be the only way that I can get some stuff to grow. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. And I'm creating a little retainer wall for use with the idea of getting... I ordered a ostrich fern, and I want to put it there, but I don't want, like, the water runoff. And I might put a little bit of a barrier right here, too. I don't know. Because I'm thinking to put... The deer come through and just graze across and ate all of my pear sets and a good half of my apple sets last year, which to me indicates that I need to get some sort of hedgerow going underneath this to kind of, like, create some depth. So I'm thinking to plant, like, some hedges here. Fruit hedges, of course. But, and, you know, if that's not enough, then maybe intersperse it with, like, some spiny gooseberries or something underneath. So it's just a thought. That's what's going on in the garden today. And I'm out here just, like, no coat. February 25th in Pittsburgh. Warm as can be. So I think I'm kind of happy about that in a way. And the flowers aren't that early. They usually bloom at the beginning of March, so it's like 2 weeks earlier than usual. I mean, we might start getting spring in February now. And we might just keep having what I would call a whiplash winter. I call it that because it's like whipping back and forth from 60 to -20 all the time. We'll see what happens. It's crazy stuff. There's some more. Aren't they cute? I naturalized them in here, but they're so vigorous that even after I tarp it, even if they all die, I have so many to replace them. It's fine. So yeah. There's the cliff, and this is a really long video. I might make a shorter one. I don't know. Maybe just about that brick structure, because I do have questions for people. And this is more of an everything, okay? Happy Sunday. Bye!